Hey, what's up guys? This is Mike from Order of Tier, and welcome to the first edition of the Hammer Klogs. I'm going to start off this little video series with a tour of my video game collection, and hopefully you won't judge me too hard.
Alright, so here is my video game corner. It's pretty much just two shelves packed to the brim with video game paraphernalia. Except for this little cubby right here. I actually have a much larger collection of Transformers, but I've had to box it up due to space limitations / not having enough furniture to actually set all this stuff up nicely / having crazy cats. Most of these are just, I think they're called Transformers Universe. It is a toy line that came out a couple of years ago that was basically just remakes of the first generation of Transformers. There's, back here in the back, a G1 Perceptor back there, just because I like Perceptor, he's sweet, so I decided to keep him out here, and a G1 Blaster back here. But all the other cool ones are in a box. I know, it's a really riveting tale. Alright, so below that starts my original Nintendo collection. These are obviously all my boxed Nintendo games on these three shelves right here. Up here, this is a Game Gear. It's just I kind of have little things on these shelves other than the games just for decoration. A Neo Geo Pocket Color. Not many people had one of these, but it had a sweet little joystick deal. So, Nintendo games. Next shelf. More Nintendo games. Trying to see if any of my favorite games are on this shelf. Oh, actually, they are. This Darkwing Duck game. Yes, sir. / yes, ma'am. It's one of these Capcom games that it's a Capcom Disney game, and basically it's similar to Chip and Dale in that it has a very Mega Man feel to it. So obviously, Mega Man's kind of a bro. And you'll see right here, this is actually a new addition to my collection. It's a Rob. I actually bought it. It didn't work, and it was kind of gross looking. So I cleaned him up, and I repainted him. You might be able to tell a change in color from the middle part to the rest of the robot. But I repainted him. He had that flame repellent plastic or paint or whatever that Nintendo decided to do once upon a time, and it was all, the color was all messed up, and so whatever. I restored it, so he's sexy now. The shelf below that, I have more regular Nintendo games. Up here in the shadows lurks some of my Atari games. Oh, my Neo Geo Pocket Color box. Yes, I bought this because it came with a Sonic game, but it was a sweet Sonic game, so yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the first Sonic game that was not on a Sega console. A little bit of trivia. Oh, you got the Sega Genesis Menacer. This is one of those light gun deals. Actually, I got this from Jabatuya. He was in his move. He was getting a bunch of stuff together and found that and thought it would look nice in my collection rather than buried in a box in his whatever. Buried in a box in his storage-ness. So yeah, that's now in my collection. Down here, I have a bunch of PC stuff. Obviously, tons of frickin' Blizzard games. I have some VSTs, some of the drum kits that we use. Oh, here I have my Sonic comic book collection from back in the day. Lots of sweetness. Alright, then over here I have Super Nintendo games. There are some unboxed NES games up there at the top, but these are mostly boxed Super Nintendo games with a little original Game Boy cornerstone. Let's see, I'll go ahead and point out some of my favorite games down here. Donkey Kong Country 2. Yes, sir. Super Mario RPG. Earthworm Jim. Yoshi's Island. Turtles in Time. Just to name a few. The next shelf. My Genesis games collection. As you can see, there are boxed games in the background, and then there are unboxed games here in front. Of course, these are the wonderful EA games that have the special EA cartridge because they had to be special. And then these are just regular Genesis games. Here's actually a Master System game. I actually have a bunch more Master System games, but they are not here. I didn't have enough room. Maybe someday when I get some bigger shelves, I'll be able to actually show off everything I have. Oh, BTW. You might notice that a bunch of these games have these stickers on them. That's because my parents owned a video store in the 80s and early 90s, and so hence why I have all this stuff. So a bunch of my games and movies and stuff have those stickers on them. Here's my only 32X game. Yeah, one more thing that I bought to play a Sonic game. Don't judge me. Next shelf, I got my more modern games. In the corner over here is my Sonic 10th anniversary little deal that came with Sonic Adventure 2. It has a music CD and has a little booklet in here that has a bunch of history of Sonic and stuff. Over here in the corner I have my Xbox games, and then next to that I have my GameCube games, my Wii games, my Xbox 360 games here and up here, my Nintendo DS games, and then from here all the way down to here I have my Sega Dreamcast games. I have a little tiny PlayStation section. These are my PS1 games. These are my PS2 games. There are also some PS1 games up here that I got them used and they didn't have actual jewel cases like Mega Man Legends. Next shelf, I have a ton of unboxed games. I have NES games over here on the right. Mega Man 3, alright. Anyway, sorry, distraction. Some Super Nintendo games in the background here, and I have my minuscule Nintendo 64 collection right here. And the reason why that I sound so unenthused about that is because once upon a time I had a humongous Nintendo 64 collection, but I discovered eBay, and I decided I was going to sell a lot of stuff, and so I ended up selling my entire Nintendo 64 collection so that I could get a GameCube and a bunch of GameCube games, which I really regret. It really pains me to think about how many games I used to have, and now I'm kind of limited to just these. Anyway, so yeah, I recently got another N64 and a few games because I felt terrible for not having one anymore. And then last shelf, actually my favorite console, and I'm not quite sure why. It's probably most people consider it the worst console ever, but I spent a ton of time in my childhood playing my Sega Saturn, and so this is my Sega Saturn collection with some Sega CD games over here in the end, but these are pretty much all Saturn games. Oh, one little fun factoid of information here. This was the first Saturn game that I got. It was obviously produced right about the time that Sega CD games were being stopped. They weren't being made anymore, or the factories were in transition, or something. But on the disc, it actually. Let's see if we can find it. The camera's probably not going to focus on this at all, but it says this game is licensed for home play on the Sega CD system only, which I thought was kind of cool since, I mean, obviously this is a Saturn game and it's in misprint. Haha, I know. Up here at the top, I have my my good old Atari up here. Have a NES Advantage, made popular by the Ghostbusters. No, it's not connected to the Statue of Liberty. This is an original Final Fantasy. Yes, it's complete. Yes, just yes. Star Wars on Laserdisc. It's just up here because that's cool. And then over here, last thing, is my Sega Genesis guitar that I built a few years ago. It does work. Yes, it does work. It just doesn't have any strings on it at the moment. I had to take them off because I was actually painting the headstock black because it said Washburn all over it. But yeah, so that is my video game collection. Hopefully you somewhat enjoyed this display of nerdery.